Hello friends, welcome to solving Sudoku number 2. Just a reminder, make sure to pick up the book. It's awesome. It's a great book. You can find it anywhere. It's very affordable. Definitely buy it. Today we're going to be working on puzzle number 2. Okay, so real quick, I think it'd be wise to go over our 5 rules that we've learned so far. I don't have the best handwriting. I really apologize about that. I'll try to just say it out loud as much as I can. Number 1, no dupes in a column, a row, or a box, right? You can't have 2 1s in any column, any column, any row, or any big box. If you've already got a 1 in a big box, you don't get another one. And, as you guys know, once you get a 1 in a big box, it also tells you that you're not going to get another 1 in this row or in this column, right? No duplicates. Rule number 2, if a number is restricted to a certain row or column in a big box, it can be erased from the same row or column in other big boxes. So, if we knew that the 1 in this big box was either going to be here or here, but we didn't know where, it was one of these 2, but we didn't know which one, then we could get rid of the ones from here and the ones from here, right? It doesn't help us this way because the 2 1s are next to each other in a row in the big box. What if they were here? Let's pretend this could be a 1 or this could be a 1. We didn't know which, but it was only one of these 2. None of these others could be the 1, only one of these 2. Then that would tell us that it's going to be on the left side in this big box, so it cannot be on the left side here or here. It has to be on the right. Good, so that's rule number 2. Rule number 3, if a number can only be in one cell in a row, column, or big box, then it goes there. So, of course, if we were solving, let's say, for 2s, and it turns out that 2s couldn't be here, and they couldn't be here or here, the only place the 2 could be would be up here, we wouldn't need to write a small 2 here. We could go ahead and just put the big 2 here, because that's the only place it could go in this big box. And of course, the same is true for columns and rows, right? Let's say for this one, let's pretend that 2 couldn't be here, here, or here, and it couldn't be here. That would mean in this column, the only place a 2 could be would be down here on the bottom. So once again, no need to write a small 2 here. We could just make this a big 2 because it's the only place it can go in the entire column. Therefore, that's where it goes. Same thing is true for a row. Let's pretend in this row here, 2s couldn't go here, they couldn't go here or here. The only place a 2 could possibly go in this entire row was here. We're pretending, of course. If that were the case, then we could just make this a big 2 because it's the only place it can go in the entire row. So, of course, that's where it goes. Good. Okay. Number 4, if only one cell is unsolved in a row, a column, or a big box, then put in the missing number. Yeah, so let's pretend this big box had all the numbers solved except for the middle. All of these were solved. Then we would know what the middle was. It would have to be whatever number's missing, right? Same thing is true with columns and rows. If this entire row was solved except for this cell, we would know what this cell was because we could just look back at the row and be like, there's a 1, there's a 2, there's a 3, there's a 4, there's a 5, there's a 6, there's a 7, there's an 8. That must be 9, right? Yeah. Good. Same thing is true, column, row, big box. If you have everything solved but one cell, you know what that one cell is. Good. And the last one, after all numbers are done, once you've gone through the entire puzzle and written in all the small numbers for everything, if a cell only has one choice, then that is the answer. So let's pretend we went through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We wrote in a ton of small numbers everywhere. And this cell only had a 4 as a choice. No other numbers could go there but 4. Then that's a 4. No other numbers can go there. Therefore, it has to be the one number that can go there. Good. So those are the 5 rules we've learned so far. We'll go over them just a tiny bit as they come up. I want to sort of talk about them a little less as we go on, just because hopefully they start to sink in. One other thing, I want to, the first time we go through this puzzle, I'm not going to write small numbers. What I like to do the first time I go through a puzzle is just write in the obvious answers. Okay. Now, there may not be any obvious answers, right? It's possible that this will be a waste of time. But if we get some obvious answers, I'd like to go ahead and just write them in. So I'm going to start with 1. There's only 2 1s in this entire puzzle. And they cross in this big box. This one comes down this way and says no 1s can be here. This one comes across this way and says no 1s can be here. So it creates a sideways T shape. So 1 could be in these 4. Obviously it can't be here because this one's already solved. So only these 3 boxes can have a 1. But that did not obviously solve a 1 for us. So I'm not going to write anything yet. When you have 2 numbers in a puzzle, they cross in 2 places. The other place they cross is up here, of course. We go up this way, no 1s can be on the right side. And we go this way, no 1s can be across the bottom, so it creates that L. So that just leaves these 4 boxes as possibilities. Obviously, it can't go there because it's already solved, so these 3. So there's no obvious answer for 1s. Nothing to write for 1s. Let's talk about 2s. There are only 2 2s in this puzzle. So once again, they're going to cross in 2 boxes. They're going to cross up here, and they're going to cross over here. So let's see. If we go this way, they can't be across the bottom, and up the middle, they can't be up the middle. So it makes kind of that upside down T shape. But no obvious answer for 2s there. There's just too many choices. Here, here, or here can all be 2s, so no luck there. What about this one? Nothing across the top, nothing down the left. Makes that sideways L thing. Can only be here, here, and here, but no obvious help. It is also wise to look at places where it doesn't cross, because there's a small chance that you might be able to solve something with 2s. Like down here, if I took 2 and said, no 2s can be here, it doesn't really help me because they can be in these 3 or this one. So we just don't have a lot of choices for 2s. Let's talk about 3s. There's 3 3s, so that's cool. Maybe that'll give us a better chance. Let's see. So let's start with this 3. This 3 cannot go across the bottom here. And this one says it can't come down the middle. So it's an upside down T, upside down T. But there's still 3 places the 3 could go, so it's not helping us. What about this one? Cross the top and down. That's an upright T. So these 3 are choices. Doesn't help us at all. What about this one? Go up the left. Can't be here. Can't be here. Can't be across the top. So it can only be in those 2 boxes. But that doesn't solve it for us. And I'm just looking to write in the obvious solves. Now, I do want to point out, I think this is, if a number can, number 2. This is rule number 2. These 2 3s can only be in the middle, right? 3 is either going to be here or here. That's it. That means it cannot be in the middle here and here. Now, doesn't help us a lot because we've already solved the other 2 3s, but this is an example of rule number 2, so that's cool. Boy, I'm not having a lot of luck of getting some obvious solves here. 3 coming across here, that leaves a bunch at the top. 3 coming across here leaves a bunch on the bottom. Dang, okay. Well, let's try 4s. How many 4s we got? We got 3 4s, maybe so. Oh yeah, look. 4, I'm going to look at this box. 4 cannot be on the top here, and it cannot be in the middle because of this one, right? Nothing in the middle, nothing in the top, and it cannot be in the middle of the bottom because of this one going up, so that just leaves these 2. This one's already solved, so it has to be there. So I'm just going to throw a 4 on there right now. That is truly solved. I'm not writing small numbers with the pen. That's just done. Oh, we got some cool magnets, by the way. Yeah, that makes it fun. Good, so we got one there. So that's pretty cool, an obvious solve. So now, knowing that, let's go up this way. 4 can't go on the right, can't go in the middle. That just leaves the left. But there's no information there, so we don't know which one. It's going to be one of the two. Rule number 2 again, of course, but these are already solved, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, so can't get an obvious solve out of that, so we're not going to touch it yet. Going up here doesn't help at all, because all of these are still choices. Going down here, we create a sideways T, but it still leaves 4 choices, so that doesn't help. What about this one? Go down here, it can't be on the left. Come over here, it can't be across the middle, so it's a sideways T. So that leaves these 4 boxes, but 3 of them are already solved. That means I can just put this in here. Yeah, good. Good, okay, so that's cool. 4 is doing all right. So now with this new 4, nothing can be on the bottom here. Nothing can be on the middle. These 2 are still choices. Unfortunately, this 4 doesn't help us with these 2. So there's still 2 choices here. We don't have an obvious solve for 4 there. What about going up this way, though? Nothing on the left, nothing on the right, but it still leaves top and bottom as choices with no help. We already talked about this one, everything on the left. Top 2. Okay, no help for 4s, but we got some new numbers. That's awesome. Good, so let's go on to 5. See if we got any quick answers for 5. Here, let's look at this one. There's 4 5s here, I think. There's a lot of 5s. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so that's good. So, no 5 can go on the top because of this 5. No 5 can go in the middle because of that 5. And no 5 can go on the left here because of this 5. So that just leaves these 2. And this one's already solved. Therefore, this must be 5. That is awesome. There's another one. Okay, good. All right, so how about down here? No 5s on the left, no 5s on the right. That just leaves the middle. 2 of the middle are already solved, which means that must be 5 right there. Super cool. Okay, good. All right, so now how about this one? This one looks pretty bad. Can't have any 5s on the left. Can't have any 5s across the middle. So that leaves a T shape, sideways T. And we don't have an obvious answer, so we're not going to bother with that. How about this guy over here? Nothing on the left, nothing on the right. That just leaves it in the middle. And over here, it can't be in the middle. We already knew that because 4 is already solved. So it just leaves those 2. So no obvious answer there. All right, I think 5s are pretty much done, but that was cool. We got some good info there. All right, let's move on to 6s, shall we? We got a few 6s here. 6s hopefully will give us a little boost. Okay, so no 6s on the right because of this one, and no 6s in the middle because of this one. So it has to be on the left. 2 of the left are already solved, so it has to be that one. That's great. Okay, I'm going to throw a 6 there. Good. All right, now how about over here? Let's look at this one. No 6s on the right, no 6s in the middle. So that leaves these 3. But when we go this way, we can't have it on the bottom because of this 6. Plus, it's already solved with an 8. And we can't have it on the top because of this 6. That means that is the only 6. So cool. That was nice. Okay. Okay. How about this one? Yeah, we've got this whole big column done with 6s. All 3 are solved. This whole big column done with 6s. All 3 are solved. But we've only got the middle. This is not done and this is not done. So across the top and across the bottom cannot be 6s. That just leaves the middle. There's one on the right, but that leaves these 2. So no luck there. Across the bottom here, across the top here cannot be 6s because of these 2 6s. They can only be in the middle. This one takes out that one on the right, but these 2 are still left. All right, so 6s are done. How about 7s? We only have 2 7s. They're right here, I believe. They can't be on the left up here, can't be on the middle up here, but they can totally be on the right. And there's all 3 choices. No obvious solve there. Run a 7 this way. It doesn't help us here because there's still 4 choices. Doesn't help us here because there's still 3 choices. How about this one? Run this. Can't be across the bottom, but there's still 5 places it can be. Can't be across the bottom, but there's still 3 places it can be. So that's it for 7s. How about 8s? Okay. 8 cannot be on the right. It cannot be in the middle. And it cannot be on the bottom here. So that leaves these 2. But this one is already solved. Therefore, this is an 8. Nice. Okay. So this whole big row of 8s is done. Big column, I should say. Good. Now this way. Let's talk about this one. 8 cannot be on the left because of this 8. Those cannot be 8s. And it cannot be across the middle because of this 8. So what we're left with is this sideways T. And that just means that these 4 boxes are the only choices. But 3 of them are solved, which means this has to be 8. It's the only place the 8 can go in the entire cell. So it is 8. Good. Okay. How about this bottom one? 8 cannot be on the left. It cannot be on the right, but it can be in the middle. So any of these 3. But this one's already solved, so just these 2. Now this 8 over here takes that one out, which means that has to be 8. Nice. Wow, okay. Okay. So we've got the whole right column, big column solved for 8s. We've got the whole left big column solved for 8s. So that just leaves this middle big column. There's no 8s in there right now. So it can't be on the bottom or the middle. It can only be on the top. There's 3 of them, so that doesn't help us. Cannot be on the top or the bottom because of these 2 8s. It just leaves the middle. There's 3 of them. It doesn't help us. Cannot be on the top for this one or on the bottom because of that one. That just leaves those 3. So no help there. All right, 8s are done for easy solves. Let's go on to 9s. There's only 2 9s that I can see. That's here and there. So for this box, we've got no 9s across the top and no 9s down the side. So it's this kind of sideways L. So that just leaves these 4. Now, 2 of them are solved, but 2 of them are not. So we do not have a simple solution here, okay? But I do want to point out that this has row number 2. These 2 9s can only be on the left in this big row. It's either here or here, one of the 2. No matter which one of these 2 it ends up in, it cannot be here or here. Now, we already know this because of that's already solved. But this one we didn't know. So this cannot be a 9. But that doesn't really help us. This side can't be a 9 and this side can't be a 9. But both of these can still be 9s. So there's no easy solves there. I just wanted to point out that the more you do this, the more you're going to be able to see these things without actually having to write the numbers in. I am going to write the numbers in, okay? We are going to do that and hopefully learn some new logic rules. But I just like to go through like that in the beginning and just get all the easy stuff out of the way. Let's do this last 9 up here real quick. It cannot be across the top because of that 9 over there, and it cannot be up the middle because of this 9 down here. So it gives us the T. These 4 are possibilities for 9. These 2 are already solved, so it can't be there. These 2 are not. Therefore, this cannot be 9. These 2 are the only choices for 9. Now, we don't have a simple answer, so we're not going to fill the 9 in here. But this is rule number 2 again. These 2 9s are in this big column, and they're both in the same big box, and they're both on the right. No matter which one of these turns out to be the 9, 9 cannot go here or here. We already know that down here because this is already solved, but we don't know it here. This cannot be a 9. And here's the crazy thing. That can't be a 9 because of these 2. This can't be a 9 because of this one, which means this is 9. I could throw a 9 in here right now. Now, I'm not going to do it because I want to write the little numbers so that we get really used to seeing rule number 2, okay? If a number is restricted to a certain row or column in a big box, it's restricted to this column, then it cannot be in the other big boxes, right? If it's on the right, it can't be on the right in these two. Good. Okay, so we threw in a bunch of numbers. That was super cool. Now let's get down to the real business, which is writing in our small numbers. I'm just going to start here. We're starting with the number 1. Ones cannot be across the bottom. That's the only help I get that I can see. So I'm going to put some little 1s up here. Good. What about this box? I don't see, so the 4 big boxes that help this box are this one and this one and this one and this one. Remember, the diagonals do not help you, okay? So there's no 1s in here to help me. There's no 1s in here to help me. So I think 1 can just be anywhere in here. 1 is not looking great. Okay, good. What about down here? There's no 1s here and here to help me. The 4 boxes that can help this are here and here and here and here. The diagonals don't help. So there's no 1s here to help me, but there is a 1 there. So 1s cannot be in the middle. So that means it can only be across the top or the bottom. Now the crazy thing is the entire bottom is already solved, and 2 out of the 3 of the top are already solved. So if 1s can't be here or here because of that one, it has to be here. That's the only spot a 1 can go. So we actually solved this. So that's cool. Okay, good. So a little bit of cleanup. Now that we've put a 1 there, we know that this can no longer be a 1. So we get to erase it. So I'm going to erase this little 1. There we go. And that just leaves 1s in these 3 or in these 3 for this big column. We don't know what's there yet. But it can't be a 1. We know that. Okay, so how about this big column? Let's see. Can't be across the top because of this one. Can't be across the middle because of that one. So it can only be one of those 3. This one tells us that it can't be here. So that just leaves those 2. So I'm going to put little 1s there. Good. Okay. Nice. All right, let's talk about this one. Well, we know, of course, diagonals can't help us. The only 4 boxes that can help this big box are this one and this one and this one and this one. So in here, this one says no 1s here. So we just have these 4 left. There's no help from here, no help from here, no help from down here. So really, those 4 are the choices. Here, 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 or here. 1s can be anywhere around there. Okay, good. All right. So that finishes this big column. So now both these big columns are done for 1. Let's move on to this one. Bottom box is already done. So how about this one up here? We know it's okay, Chaplain. My cat likes to hang out by the window and meow. No 1s here, right? The 4 boxes that can help us are this one and this one, this one and this one. Diagonals don't help us. So no 1s there, but these 3 can have 1s. So I'm going to write them in. We don't have a lot of help here for 1s. 1s are looking pretty sad. And how about up here? We do know that 1s cannot be on the right, and we know that they can't be on the bottom. So that creates that kind of L-looking unit. So these 4 are possibilities, but that one's already solved. So it can only go in these 3. Good. All right. So 1s are looking pretty good. I'm hoping that as you guys worked on this puzzle, you'll be able to look at how far you got, or maybe you even finished it. But you'll be able to look at how far you got, and you'll be able to say, okay, I did all of that right. Now what's next, right? Good. So I'm moving on to number 2. We're going to write in all of our 2's. So let's start with this big column here. 2 is solved up here. What about this one? The only 4 boxes that can help this are this one and this one, and this one and this one. So here it is. 2's cannot be on the left because of this 2 here. So that just leaves those 3 as possibilities because these 3 are already solved. And it cannot be across the top. So we get this L shape again, upside down L thing. So that just leaves these 4 as choices. But these bottom 2 are already solved, so they can't be it. So that just means that 2's can go there. Good. Now, I hope you noticed, because of rule number 2, these 2's can only be in the middle of this big box. Either this is 2 or this is 2. That's it. And no matter which one turns out to be the 2, that will mean that we cannot have 2's in the middle here or here. Now, we already know this one because the 2's already solved, but we don't know that here. 2's cannot be in the middle here. That's huge. So 2's can't be across the top because of this one. They can't be across the middle because of this one, whichever one it turns out to be. So only the bottom 3 are possibilities for 2's, and 2 of them are solved, which means this is the only place a 2 can go. Okay, that's it. That's the only spot a 2 can go in. So I think we have a rule for that. If a number can, rule number 3, if a number can only be in one cell in a row, column, or big box, then it goes there. This is the only cell that a 2 can go in this entire big box. Therefore, it is 2. We've done this rule number 3 about 6 times so far today. I'm going to try to start pointing it out each time we do it. I'm sorry I wasn't before, but yeah, good. Okay, now, here's some craziness. Because we did that, and I don't want to start having us create mistakes for ourselves, but I got to point these things out when we see them. Look at this row. This row is almost completely solved. 7 out of the 9 cells are done. That only leaves 2 cells that aren't done yet. And here's the freaky thing. We know that a 1 cannot go here because of this one right here. That's why we didn't write 1 there. So because of rule number 3, the only place in this entire row that a 1 can go is right there. And because that's the only place, then that is where it goes. That's rule number 3. If a number can only be in one cell in a row, a column, or a big box, then it goes there. So I think I'm gonna do it. I don't want us to start making mistakes because we jump too far ahead. But this is obvious. This is very obvious. So I'm going to erase that. Now we've got some upkeep we got to take care of. Because we solved the 1 in this row, that means we solved the 1 in this big box as well. It's right there. It's solved. So I need to get rid of the other possibilities of 1's. I've got some cleanup I've got to do, right? So in this big box, I can erase all the 1's because we already solved it. Now, in this column, I can erase all the 1's because we already solved the 1 in this column. It's done. So I'm erasing that. Okay. That doesn't tell us where any other 1's are, but it makes it easier to find the 1 later. Now, I want you to look at this row again. This is crazy. This row is crazy. There's only 1 unsolved cell in this entire row. We know every other number here. Okay? And this is rule number 5. Okay? And it's worded a little weirdly, so I'm sorry. After all numbers are done, if a cell only has 1 choice, then that's the answer. And I don't think, no, wait a minute. Let me see if we have a better rule. can only be in one cell in a row. I guess it's number 3. Oh, no, number 4. If only one cell is unsolved in a row, a column, or a box, then put in the missing number. That's rule number 4. Sorry. This is rule number 4. We know what this is because everything else is done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It has to be 9. We can't have any duplicates. That's the beauty of these logical rules. It's just the truth, right? And look what that just gave us. Look at this amazing column. This column is rule number 4 as well. Everything is solved except for one cell. So we know what the answer is to that one cell. Let's count it out. 1, 2. Looks like it's 3. We don't have a 3 yet. So I'm going to go ahead and throw a 3 down there. 3. Okay. Wow. Well, let's count it just to be positive. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, 3 was the missing number. So that's good. That finishes that. Now, rule number 4. Look at this big box. This is incredible. Everything is solved in this big box except this one cell. We know what that is because we know what everything else is. Let's count it out. 1. Must be a 2. Okay, let's throw a 2 in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Wow, that was a lot. I don't see any other rule number 4s floating around, luckily, but we do have some cleanup we have to take care of. Okay, I think we put a 3 here, but there's no 3s to worry about. I don't even know if we've done 3 yet, to be honest, because I've gotten so ahead of ourselves with these other rules, but we put a 2 here. We do have a 2 as an option there, so I'm going to erase it. 2 cannot go there because it's right there. Now, that's a crazy thing. Let's look at this here. This is rule number 4 again. No, not rule number 4. If a number can only be in one cell, this is rule number 3. If a number can only be in one cell in a row, a column, or a big box, then that's where it goes. This is the only place that 2 can go in this entire big box. It can't go here because of this 2. It can't go here because of this 2. And it can't go anywhere else because they're already solved. Therefore, in this big box, this is the only place 2 can go. So that's where it goes. I'm going to erase this. This one is crumbling quickly. Okay. All right. I'm going to try not to jump ahead anymore because we want to see our rules in action. But I just had to point out that rule number 4. That was crazy. We had a row, a column, and a big box. And then we got a rule number 3 out of it. That's cool. Okay. Anyways, so 1s are done. I want to look at 2s real quick because I don't know how far we got because I forgot. So 2s. Let's talk about this big box for 2s. 2s cannot go across the bottom because of this one, and they cannot go up the middle because of this one, so it's an upside down T. These 4 are the only places 2s can go. So let's go ahead and write our 2s in. There's a 2, there's a 2. Good. What about this one? Already solved. So, sorry, this whole big column's already done. This one's done because of that 2. What about this one? All right, 2s cannot go down the middle because of this guy, and they cannot go across the middle because of this guy. So it makes a big plus sign. So the 4 corners are where 2 can go. Obviously, it can't go there because that's already solved. So I'm going to go ahead and put 2s in here. Good. So now we've done as much as we can for 2s in this big column. So now let's talk about this one. All right, 2s cannot go across the bottom because of this guy, And they cannot go up the middle because of this guy. So it makes an upside down T. So these 4 are the only places it can go. Can't go there because it's already solved. So I'm going to write the 2's in here. Good. What about this bottom one? 2 cannot go across the middle because of this one. And it cannot go down the middle because of this one. So once again, a big plus sign. That means 2 can go in the 4 corners. Obviously, it cannot go in that corner because it's already solved. So that completes the 2's as much as we can so far. Very cool. All right, let's go on to 3's. How about up here? Okay, 3's cannot go across the top because of that 3. And it looks like they can't go up the left because of this 3. So we get this weird sideways L-looking unit. So it can go in these 4. But this one's already solved, so it can only go in the 3. So let's put it here. 3, 3, or 3. Those are the 3 places 3 can go in that one. How about this one? Can't go across the bottom because of this 3. Can't go up the left because of that 3. So that just leaves these 4. It's an L-looking thing. That leaves these 4. 2 of them are already solved. So these 2 are the only choices for 3. There we go. Good. So that solves as much as we can this big column for 3's. How about the middle one? Okay, so 3 cannot go across the top because of this guy. And it cannot go up the left because of this guy. So that makes that upside down L. So these 4 are still choices. There's nothing, oh no, I'm sorry. And it can't go up the right because of this guy. So that leaves only these 2 as choices. Okay. That didn't solve the 3 for us, but it got us pretty dang close. And of course, as we know, rule number 2, these 3's can only be in the middle in this big box. It's either going to be here or here. So it can't be in the middle here or here. Doesn't help us at all because these 2 are already solved. It does prove it because these 3's are on the left and the right. They're not in the middle. So yeah, good. 3, 3, 3. So the middle big column is done. How about this one over here? Okay, 3's cannot go down the middle because of this 3 here. Oh, and it can't go across the bottom. So we got an upside down T. So they can go here or here. Of course, these 2 are already solved. So it can literally only go here or here. So that's cool. Now, of course, rule number 2. Hey, look, 3 has to be on the top in this big box. It's going to be here or here. We don't know which one, but it will be one of these 2. It's not going to be here. We already know that because of this, because of this guy. It's got to be here or here. So it cannot be on the top here or here. So that tells us something. Because it cannot be on the top here, we get to erase it. We have to do some cleanup. So I'm going to erase this 3. And then suddenly we've got a rule number 3. If a number can only be in one cell in a row, a column, or a big box, then it goes there. This is the only place 3 can go in this entire big box. Therefore, it does go there. So I'm going to erase this. I'm going to throw a 3 up here. And then, rule number 4, if only one cell is unsolved in a row, a column, or a big box, then put in the number, right? In this big box, everything is solved except this. Now, we've been writing in numbers, so we know it's a 1. But we could try to count. We could be like, okay, where's the 1? Oh, it's nowhere. That must be 1. So I'm going to put a 1 there, and then we'll count it up just to be positive. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah. Wow. Okay. So because we solved this 3, we've got some cleanup we have to do. Namely, going up this way. Look, we said that there were 2 places 3 could go, and it's not true because we just solved this 3. So this one's got to go. And this one's got to go. Of course, you want to be careful. Don't erase your other numbers. Okay. So that's good. Does that help us solve 3 up here? It really does. This is rule number 3 again. This is the only place 3 can go. It cannot go anywhere up the right because we already solved this one. It cannot go across the top because we already solved that one. These 3 are already solved, so this is literally the only spot a 3 can go. Therefore, it does go there. I'm going to put this thing here. That solves 3s for this entire big column. Now, we also solved this 1, so that removes that 1. Oh, and look at this. Rule number 4. Only one cell is unsolved in this entire column. Let's see which one it is. 1, 2, 3. Looks like it's number 4. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep, that's a 4. This puzzle is just falling together. That's great. Okay, good. All right. So we got that. Cool. Wow, that's a lot. Okay, so I'm not going to try to do any more cleanup. I'm going to try to stick to writing in our small numbers and learning new rules, although I'm afraid this thing's just going to solve itself as we go. But that's all right. We were talking about 3s. So we know where the 3s are in this big column. We know where they can go in this big column. We know that one. So what about this one? 3 cannot go across the top because of this one. It cannot go across the middle because of this one. And it can't be in the middle here because of this one. So that just leaves these 2 as choices. So I'm going to go ahead and write 3s in there. There we go. I think this obviously is another example of rule number 2. But it doesn't really matter because we know this 3 is solved and this 3 is solved. So clearly, they can only go on the bottom, which means they can't go on the bottom here and here, but already solved, so it doesn't really matter. Good. So 3s are done. And this is the danger of moving ahead and solving things as you go. We could have forgotten to solve 3 in this box and then went all the way through 9s and went, oh my gosh, this can only be, or this one can only be a 2. Look, there's nothing else written there when we should have written a 3 there. So you got to remember where you are in the process, which I mess up all the time. It's very difficult, but it's all right. Let's move on to 4s. So this big column on the left, 4s are done. Here, here, and here. Cool. How about here? 4s cannot be up the right or across the top. So it's like a big L here, okay? That means it can only be in these 4. This one's already solved, so these 3 can be 4s. Now, I want to point something out to you real quick. My eyes just happened to notice ahead. If we extend 4 out this way, then 4 can only be in these 2. But the bottom's already solved. That means 4 can only be in the middle. And if 4 can only be in the middle, then these 2 4s can be erased, and this is 4. Okay? I'm not going to do that quite yet because we're jumping ahead a lot in this puzzle. I'm going to leave it like this for now. When we get over here, I think we'll be able to do a lot of stuff here. But let's work on 4s for a tiny bit longer. So, we already solved this one, so let's go to the bottom of the big column here. Nothing can go across the bottom because of this 4. Nothing can go across the middle because of this 4. Nothing can go on the right because of this 4. We already kind of knew that because 3 was solved, but it's okay. So those 2 can be 4. So let's write those in. Good. So that takes care of this big column for 4s. Now let's talk about this one. This one's already solved. This one already solved. So let's talk about up here. 4 cannot be across the top because of this one here. So it can only be these bottom 2. This one's already totally solved, so it's got to be in the middle, okay? It's going to be in the middle. Now, looking here, look at this. It can't be on the right middle because of this one. It can't be in the middle because of this one. That only leaves this. This is 4. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to erase this. I'm going to make this 4. Oops, I'm not going to write it though. I'm going to grab a magnet because it's fun. Okay. 4. That means we've got to do some cleanup. This has 2 4s in it that cannot be there because we just solved this 4. So let's get them out of there. That can't be 4. That can't be 4. Now, because of what? Rule number 3, if a number can only be in one cell in a row, a column, or a big box, then that's where it goes. This is the only place 4 can go. It can't go across the top because of this one. Can't go across the middle because of this one. Can't be on the right because of this one. Can't be on the left because this one's already solved. Therefore, this is the only place a 4 can be. So I'm going to erase it. Oh, dang it. I want to use our magnets. Okay. So that is 4. Nice. Okay. Good. So, cleanup. This new 4 tells us we can get rid of that 4. And then rule number 3 tells us this is the only place a 4 can go. And you got it. Sometimes you're not going to be able to look back and see why that's the only place. You got to trust your small numbers. Okay? That's the only place a 4 can go because that's the only place a 4 is written. Now, luckily, we can look back and say, well, no 4s can go across the bottom. No 4s can go across the middle. No 4s can be on the right. No 4s can be in the middle. Therefore, that's the only place a 4 can go. So that is where the 4 goes. But sometimes you're not going to be able to look back and double check like that. Sometimes you need to just say, well, that's the only place I wrote a 4, so I'm going to trust it, and that's going to be the 4. Good. Okay, so 4s are done. Okay, well, let's move on to 5s then. Looks like this big column is totally done for 5s, so we'll move on to this one here. 5s cannot go across the middle because of this 5. They cannot go across the bottom because of this 5. And they can't be on the left because of this 5. So that just leaves those 2 boxes. So I'm going to go ahead and write 5s in there. Good. Now let's talk about the bottom here. 5s cannot be on the left because of this one. They cannot be across the middle because of this one. So we've got this kind of sideways T. That just leaves these 4 as possibilities for 5. This one's already solved, so it's clearly not going there. So I'm going to put a 5 here, here, and here. Good. Okay. That's cool. That takes care of this big column. What about this one over here? This one's solved, this one's solved, this one's not. So 5s cannot be on the left because of this 5. They cannot be on the right because of this 5, so they can only be in the middle. But 2 of the middle are already solved. Therefore, it can only be there. And because it can only be there, that is where it goes. Nice. We got to solve one, so we get a little bit of cleanup. This 5 says 5s cannot go here. That means this guy's got to go. So that can't be a 5 all of a sudden. Good. Okay. All right. So, I hate to do it, but I think we can jump ahead again. Look at this. Let's look at this row. This row only has 2 cells that are unsolved. And one of them can be a 2, but the other one can't. So, if a number can only be in one cell in a row, a column, or a big box, then it goes there. The only place a 2 can be in this entire row is right here. It can't be here because there's a 2 right there blocking it. And it can't be any of these because they're already solved. This is the only place a 2 can go. So because of rule number 3 in this row, let me make it clear, it's in this row. So because of rule number 3, We know that's a 2. Now we can jump on to rule number 4. If only one cell is unsolved in a row or a column or a big box, in this case a row, then we know what the answer is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 8 and 9 right there. It's a 7. I'm going to throw the 7 in there. Man, okay, good. Wow. Yeah, it's coming along. Dang. So we solved this 2. So we need to do some cleanup, okay? Within this big box, we know the 2 is right there, so we should get rid of our other 2's. I'm going to erase this one. I'm going to erase this one. Good. So that's cleaned up pretty good. What about this column? Okay, well, we know that that can't be a 2 because it's written right there, so we got to get rid of it. Here we go again. If a number can only be in one cell, this is rule number 3, can only be in one cell in a big box or a row or a column, then that's where it goes. This is the only place a 1 can go in this big box. Okay? It can't go on the right because of this guy. Can't go in the middle because of this guy. So it has to be on the left. And it can't be here and here because they're already solved. So that's it. Also, it's the only place we've written a 1, so we can just trust it. I'm going to erase it. I'm going to throw a 1 up there. And of course, we've also got this. That's the only place a 2 can go. Everything else is solved except this one, and that's blocked by that 2. So this has got to be 2. It's the only place it can possibly go. And now we've got an empty space. Rule number 4. This entire big box is solved except for this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's a 7. Dang. Okay, we're solving a lot, but it's okay. Some puzzles are easier than others. And of course, as we get deeper into the book, they're going to get harder and harder. We're going to add more of these. There'll be at least 8 rules by the time this book is done. But it's pretty cool. If there's only like 8 or 9 rules to solve every puzzle in this book, that's cool, right? Good. And we already know 5 of them. We're just using them over and over and over again. Oh no, where were we? Okay, we were working on 5s. So I think the 5s are done as much as they can be in this puzzle. Let's move on to 6s. All right, so 6s are solved in this big column. So let's move on to this one. 6s cannot be across the top because of this one. They cannot be across the bottom because of this one. That just leaves the 3 in the middle. This 6 here stops that one, so it's just those 2. So these 2 are possibilities for 6s. Good. And it doesn't help us at all, but I just want to point out, this is an example of rule number 2. 6 can only be in the middle in this big box. Therefore, it cannot be in the middle here or here. They're already solved, so it doesn't matter. But there's an example of rule number 2. Good, okay. So we've got this one, we've got this one. What about this one down here? 6 cannot be across the bottom because of this one. Cannot be across the top because of this one. Cannot be down the right side because of this one. So that just leaves these 2. Good. That finishes that big column in the middle. How about this big column over here? Can't be there, can't be there. Or, sorry, it is there, and it is there. Therefore, 6s are done. Let's go on to 7s. Okay. Here, 7s are not done here. That's cool. 7 cannot be on the right because of this one. Cannot be in the middle because of this one. And so it's got to be on the right. It can't be in the middle here because of that 7. So it's only the top and the bottom, the choices. So I'll go ahead and write those in. Good. That finishes up this big column for 7s. How about this one? It can't be across the middle because of that 7. And down here, it can't be up the middle because of this 7. So that just leaves a big plus sign where it can't be. So it can only be in the 4 corners. Obviously, this one's already solved, so it can't be in that corner. but it can be in the other 3. So I'm writing it in. Good. That's cool. How about this one here? All right, 7 cannot be across the bottom because of this one. Cannot be up the middle because of this one, so it's an upside down T. That just leaves these 4 as possibilities. These 2 are already solved, so 7 can only go here. Here or here. Because these 2 are already solved. So that's cool because it tells us 7 can only be in the middle in this big box. Therefore, it cannot be in the middle in this big box or this big box. This one, it doesn't matter because we already solved it. But when we move on to this box, it's going to help us. Okay? So that's good to know. That finishes 7s in this big column. They cannot be in the middle over here. So we're going to move on to over here now because this one's already solved. So, can't be across the bottom because of this guy. Plus, they're already solved. Can't be across the middle because of this 7. Don't know where it's going to end up, but it's going to be one of those 2. So it can't be here. Can't be the bottom or there, and it can't be across the middle, so that only leaves those 2 as possibilities. 7, 7. Okay, good. Now, how about the last place for 7s that we haven't looked at yet? Can't be across the top because of this one. Can't be across the bottom because of that one. So that only leaves the middle, and 2 of the middle are already solved. Therefore, it can only go there in this big box. And if it can only go there in that big box, then that is where it goes. That is the only choice a 7 can go in. Nice. Cool. So now we got to do some cleanup because we solved that 7. So there's no 7s to erase in that big box. There's no 7s to erase along here because we already had those 2. How about up? Yeah, look, there's a 7 right there. I'm going to get rid of that 7 because we solved that one. Now, here we go. Is this rule number 3? Yeah, if a number can only be in one cell in a row, a column, or a big box, this is the only place 7 can be in this entire big box because it's the only place we have it written. So I'm going to erase it and make it a 7. That's great. And we can double check if we want to. Can't be across the middle because of this 7, wherever it ends up, takes out the middle. Can't be across the bottom and can't be on the left. Can't be in the middle because it's solved already and there's a 7 there. But that's where it goes. And then 3, same thing. This is the only place a 3 can go in here. Everything else is solved except this, and this is blocked by this guy. This is 3. That's it. I'm going to make it a 3. Okay. Now, look at this. Rule number 4. If only one cell is unsolved in a big box, a row, or a column, you know what the answer is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's a 9. I'm going to put it there. Sweet. Now we got to do some cleanup. Dang. So this 3 tells us that that cannot be a 3. So we get to erase it. And all of a sudden, hey, look, the only place a 3 can be in this entire big box is on the right, on the bottom. So that's it. We're going to erase it. We're going to make it a 3. That was the only place it could go. And now we only have one unsolved cell. Rule number 4. Therefore, we know what it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's a 9. Throw it in there. Okay. Wow. Jeez. Okay. So, I think 7s are done. So we can move on to 8s. We have solved the 8s in this big column. So let's move on to the middle big column. 8s cannot be across the bottom because of this one. They cannot be across the middle because of this one. But they can be across the top. I don't have any help from down here. So all 3 of these are possibilities for 8s across the top. Good. Now what about this middle one? 8s cannot be across the top. They cannot be across the bottom. I don't have any help from these 2. So all three of these across the middle are possibilities for 8s. Good. How about this bottom one? 8s cannot be across the top. They cannot be across the bottom. Therefore, they have to be in the middle. I don't have any help from these top two. So 8s have to be across the middle. Somewhere in that middle is an 8. And I do want to point out that this is an example of rule number 2, right? 8s have to be on top here. It's true there's 3 choices, but they're all on the top in this big box. 8 has to be on the top. That means it cannot be in the top here and here. Now, we already know that because of these 2 8s, right? Same here. 8s have to be across the middle, period. Even though there's 3 choices, it's going to be one of these 3. 8 is in the middle here. Now, we already know that because of this 8 and this 8, but it is an example of rule number 2. Same with the bottom. 8 has to be in the middle. Can't be in the middle here or here. We already solved them, so it doesn't matter, but good. And then the 8s are done in this other big column. So 8s are done. We can move on to 9s. All right, 9s are not solved in this big column. So here we go. 9 cannot be on the left. 9 cannot be in the middle. 9 can also not be on the top here. So these 2 are the only choices. Good. Okay. So that finishes up this big column for 9s. How about this one? 9 cannot be across the top. That is the only help from 9 that I'm getting. So it can be in these bottom 6. 2 of them are already solved, luckily. So it's just going to be in these 4. But that's a lot of 9s for this puzzle. Dang. Okay, let's move on to this one. 9 cannot be across the bottom because of this one. It cannot be across the middle because of that one. So it has to be across the top. Now, 2 of the top are already solved. Therefore, that is the only place a 9 can go. And if it's the only place a 9 can go, then that's where it goes. So I'm going to put the 9 in there. Bam. Okay. Cool. We got to do a tiny bit of cleanup. There's no 9s in here to erase, so that's good. As I go up or down, I can see that there's a 9 there that I wrote that I have to erase. Now, that doesn't help us solve the 9. I mean, it helps us, but it doesn't solve the 9 immediately because there's still 3 places a 9 could go. So, cool. We helped with solving the 9, even though we didn't solve it yet. And let's talk about this. I want to talk about this because these patterns are very important to recognize. We talked about it last time as well. There are 3 cells that are unsolved here. There is no one number that's only in there once. Like if we pretend that there wasn't a possibility of 1 here, then we would know that this is 1 because that would be the only place that 1 could go. But there's actually 2 places that 1 can go in this big cell. And there's 3 places the 8 could go, so we don't have any help with the 8. And there's 2 places that the 7 can go. So we can't solve anything with this, but I want to point out the numbers here. 8, 7, 1. There are 3 options that need to be solved in this cell, in this box, this big box, and all 3 of them are represented in each cell. Okay, now I know there's not a 7 here, and there's not a 1 here, but there is a 1 here and a 7 here. So we create this little pattern, this little idea that if you have 3 cells unsolved, and there's 3 numbers that are dispersed throughout those 3 cells, and there's at least 2 of each, then that's as solved as it's going to get for now. 871, 81, 87. This is an example of 3 cells, 3 options in a big box. Okay. Now, it's also an example of 3 cells, 3 options in a row. Everything else here is solved. Okay. But if it wasn't, let's pretend that these 2 weren't solved. Let's pretend that this said 9, 5 and this said 9, 5. but this one said 951. So we had 87, 81, 871, 95, 951. When we look at these three options and we say, hey, three options, three cells, 871, 871, 871, right? When we see this, we get to erase all of the 871s from everywhere else. So if this was 95 and this was 951, we could erase that 1. This is a rule. We haven't found a time that we need to use this yet, but I'm betting it will be the next rule we write. I want you to start noticing 3 options, 3 cells. Look, 3 options, 3 cells. 971. We have 2 9s, 2 7s, 2 1s. All 3 of these options are in the same big box. So it works. 971. If this was 2 3 and this was 2 3 1, we could erase the 1 here because of this 719197. Same thing with the big row here. Look at this. 3 options, 3 cells. If this was 2 4 and this was 2 4 1, we could erase the 1. Or if it was 2 4 and 2 4 7, we could erase the 7. Or 2 4 2 4 9, we could erase the 9. This matters. This little pattern really matters. And in the future, we're going to be dealing with it a lot. So I want you to start seeing it. Good. Okay, so 9s are done here. 9s are done here. Let's talk about 9s down here. 9s cannot be across the top. They cannot be across the bottom. And they cannot be down the middle. So that only leaves these 2 as choices for 9s. So I'm going to write it in. Okay. Now look at this. Let's talk about this big cell with this future thing that we might use. We might use it today. I might have to write it, but I want you to start noticing it. 986, 8698. 3 cells, 3 options that can be written into them. 9, 8, or 6. There are 2 9s, there are 3 8s, and 2 6s, at least 2 of each. Therefore, within this big box, 986 will be in these 3. That means 986 can be erased from everywhere else in this big box. Now, when I look around, I don't see any other 986s. Therefore, it's already as solved as it's going to get. But we could have erased a 9, 8, or 6 down here and given ourselves a number. That could have happened. But 521, 512, okay? 3 cells, 3 options. They're all within a big box. There is one funky thing about this one. Oh, there's 2 5s, 2 2s, 2 1s. It looks the same. It's the pattern. The weird thing, of course, is this 2 is all by itself. And we're going to get there in just a second, but I want to make sure the 9s are done first. But 3 options, 3 cells. 3 options, 3 cells. Okay, good. 9s, done. So now we have written in all of our little numbers, and that activates rule number 5. After all numbers are done, if a cell only has one choice, then it's the answer. So 2 is the answer. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and erase this 2. It's the only place, it's the only number that can go in that cell. 9 can't go there, 8 can't go there, 7 can't go there, 6 can't go there, 5 can't go there, 4 can't go there, 3 can't go there, and 1 can't go there. 2 is the only number. And we knew that because it was sitting by itself. Do we have anything else sitting by itself? No. All right, a tiny bit of cleanup. I got to get rid of these 2s. There's 1 and there's 1. And this 2. So, there. Now, this is the other part of this pattern. Look at this, 5 1, 5 1. This is 2 cells, 2 options, 5 or 1. They're in the same big box or the same row if you happen to be looking at rows. They're not in the same column, obviously. That's a mess. But this way, right? Same row. So we have 2 5s, 2 1s, 2 cells, 2 options. This is the pattern. If this were 986, 86, 981, because of this 5151, we could erase that 1. Because we know if this is 5, this is 1. If this is 1, this is 5. That's it. This is 5 and 1. This is 986, this is 986, or 869, or 689, whatever. The 3 of them are here, and the 2 of them are here. Okay? We got to find these patterns because they help us. Okay, 3 options, 3 cells. What about this nonsense up here? Oh, 3 options, 3 cells. Just pointed out. This is crazy, okay? So, we have, ooh, that's interesting. Okay. Yeah, we're going to have to write this. What is the simplest way to show this? Here. Good. Look. Look at this column. 986, 87, 96, 87. These 2 are exactly the same. If this is 8, then this is 7. If this is 7, then this is 8. No matter what happens, 2 cells, 2 options, 8 and 7 are done. So what is that 8 doing there? It can't be there. If this is 8, then this is 7 and this is 7. And that's wrong. This cannot be 8 because we have 8, 7 here and 8, 7 here. Within this column, we have 2 cells and 2 choices. We know 8 and 7 are going to be in these 2 boxes in this column. Therefore, 8, 7 cannot be anywhere else in this column. That 8 goes away. Nice. Cool. Okay. So this, we have to write down this rule now. How am I going to word this? Okay. So, if 2 cells in a row, column, or big box only have, and the word only is very important, only have the same 2 choices, then they can be erased everywhere else. Okay. And this grows. This is true for any number of cells. If 5 cells have 5 options, only 5 options within the same row, column, or big box, then those 5 options can be erased in every other cell of that row, column, or big box. Okay? I shouldn't have written everywhere else. Can be erased. I'm going to change that because that sounds silly. Can be erased in that row, column, or big box. Okay, good. That's better. So we knew 8787. That's where the 8787 is going to be. We were able to get rid of that. Look what it left. 9696. That's awesome. Now, I stated the word only is very important in that sentence because let's pretend we had 87876 and we had 96976. We could not erase anything because the 2, there wasn't a place that had just 2 options, 2 cells. This was 87876. So the 6 is what we'd want to try to get rid of because we just want to have 8787. And this, 96976. The 7 is what we want to try to get rid of. We can't erase from both halves. We can't say, oh, if I erase something, this will be 8787, and then I can erase something and make this 9696. No, no. One of them has to be already done to erase from the other one. You can't erase from both halves of what you're finding. You can only erase from one of the two halves. I'll try to find an example of that later to point it out, but I do want to say it out loud. Only is very important. If two cells in a row, a column, or a big box only have the same two choices. Okay, good. So, wow, that's cool. That column got a little bit easier, and it helped us out down here. We were able to get rid of a 6 or an 8 here. So, that leaves us 968698. Is that still 3 cells, 3 options? Well, all 3 of the cells are in the same row. They also happen to be in the same big box, but it doesn't matter which one, as long as they're in the same of one of them. Okay. We have 2 9s, 2 8s, 2 6s. Yes, this is still 3 options, 3 cells. Okay, so we can't go any further with this. That's all right. Let's talk about this column. 8 5, 6 3, 8 1, 8 6, 5 1. Well, there's no 2 cells with the same 2 numbers in it, so that doesn't help us at all. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 cells, and I'll bet we have 5 options. Let's look at this. Okay, for 1, we have 2 choices for 1. Okay, 3s. Oh, wait a minute. That's the only 3 in the entire column. Can't be here because of that one. 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 Plus, it's the only place we wrote 3. Okay, well, this is an example of rule number 3. This is the only place a 3 can be in this entire column. Therefore, it is a 3. Oh, wow. Oh, dang it. I want to use a magnet. Okay. It also happened to be the only 3 in this entire big box, so we can't erase any 3s. Okay. All right. So now, 4 cells. So we have 2 1s. We have 2 5s. We have at least 2 8s. We actually have 3 8s. But look, we only have 1 6. So I'm gonna point this out the opposite way. I'm not going to use rule number 3. I'm going to use rule number 6. Rule number 3 would say this is the only place a 6 can go. Therefore, it is 6, period. But I want to show you the other way. We have 3 cells, 3 options in this column. 8 5, 8 1, 5 1. We have 2 8s. We have 2 5s. And we have 2 1s. Therefore, we can erase all of the 8 5 1s in every other cell in this column. This 8 can go because we know 8 is going to be one of these 3. 8 5 1. 8 5 1 is going to be spaced out between any one of these 3. Therefore, we can erase 8 5 1 from every other cell in this column. And of course, when we erase it, it only leaves the 6. So this is obviously 6. We also knew that because of rule number 3. But I hope you could see that. 8 5, 8 1, 5 1. 3 options, 3 cells. And that's in this column. They all have to be in the same column, big box, or row. In this case, they're in a column. 8, 5, and 1 will be the answer of these 3 boxes. We don't know what order, But that is the answer of those three boxes. Therefore, 851 cannot be anywhere else in this entire column, which is why this is 6. All right, let's move on to this column. What do we got here? A bunch of more craziness. Okay. It looks like 987251. Those are all the numbers. So how many cells? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we can see we've got 987521. 6. So far, we've got 6 cells, 6 options. Do we have 2 of each number? Let's check that. We have at least 2 9s. Yeah, we've got 3, so that's good. We've got 3 8s, so that's good. How about 7s? Yeah, we got 3 7s. 5s. We've got 2 5s, so yeah, that's good. How about 2s? We've got 2 2s and 1s. We've got 2 1s. Okay, so it looks like 6 cells, 6 options. Do we really have 3 cells, 3 options, and 3 cells, 3 options? Or do we just have 6 cells, 6 options? That's the big question. Can we find any of these? For instance, is there another 9 8? Right? That would be the simplest way. If there were 2 9 8s, we could be like, oh my gosh, 2 9 8s. And the second 9 8 would have to be all by itself, of course. 9 8, 9 8. If we had 2 9 8s, we could erase the 9 8s from everything else. We don't have 2 9 8s, so that's not good. Do we have 2 5 1s? No. Do we have 2 9 7s? No. Do we have 2 9 2s? No. No, this just looks like a big old tangled mess of numbers. And I don't think we can pull a pattern out. If we had 9 2, 9 7, and then a 7 2, that would work, right? That would be 3 cells, 3 options. 9 2, 9 7, 7 2. It would have to be 7 2 by itself, nothing else. Like this doesn't work. We can't be like 9 7, 9 2, hey, 7 2, let's erase the 8 5. We can't do that, right? We have to find one that is 3 cells, 3 options to erase the other half. We can't just make that true. This could be a 5. We don't know. We don't know. So we don't have 2 cells, 2 options here. I don't see 3 cells, 3 options. I don't see 4 cells, 4 options. That would be like 8752. And then, see, 871. I mean, we just don't have 75 and 72 and 85, you know. Yeah, I don't think we can break this down any more than we already have. So, this column's done, this column's done, this column's done, this column's done. So that's all the checking we can make with columns. Why don't we make checkings with rows? Let's go across the top. Okay, 8752, 8587, 71. So this could be 4 options, 4 boxes. We know we've got 4 cells that aren't solved. Do we have just 4 numbers? We have 8, 7, 5, 2, 1. Actually, we have 5 numbers. This is kind of a mess. We can't have 5 numbers and 4 cells. That's just wrong. Something is doubled up. What is it? Ha! It's this 1. We didn't clean this up, which is okay. We'll catch it. We will eventually catch it. So this 1 tells us we can erase that 1. So I need to erase it. Now, of course, because of rule number 4, yeah, no. If a number can only be in 1 cell, no, that's not it. Dang it, come on. What rule is this? If a number can only be in 1 cell in a row, if only 1 cell is unsolved, no, if a number's by itself? If only 1 cell is unsolved. Oh, after all numbers are done, number 5, I'm sorry. If a cell only has 1 choice, then that's the answer. Rule number 5 tells us that that's a 7. Because that's the only place, that's the only number that can go in there for this top. Okay, So that means we got to do some cleanup because I see a 7 here and I see a 7 here. So now, once again, rule number 5, look, 8's the only number that can go in here. All the numbers are done, so it is 8. And now we got to clean up. Let's get rid of these 8's. Look at this, 5, the only number that can go in there. Rule number 5. All the numbers are done, so we know it's a 5. Oh man, I'm messing this all up. Okay, 5. That leaves just a 2. Okay, I'm going to use the actual things. This is a 2 because of rule number 5. This is a 5 because of rule number 5. This is an 8 because of rule number 5. This is a 7 because of rule number 5. Okay, nice. So that top row just cleaned right up. Let's talk about this row. Well, it looks like we've got 3 cells that are unsolved. Do we have 3 numbers for those 3 cells? 9, 6, 2, 1. No. We have 4 numbers, but only 3 cells to fit them in. Something is doubled up. What is it? It's the 2. Look, 2 is solved. I got to erase this. All right, rule number 5. That's the only place, the only number that can go in there is a 9. Therefore, it is 9. Now let's clean up. Boy, we got a lot of rule number 5 all of a sudden. Look, the only number that's possible in here is a 6. And because all the numbers are done, it is 6. Here's a 1. All the numbers are done, therefore it is 1. Wow, okay. Now let's move on to the third row. So here we have 9, 7, 9, 7. We have 2 cells that are not finished in this row. Do we have 2 numbers? We have 9 and 7. Yes, we only have 2 numbers for those 2 cells. That's good. Do we have 2 of each number? Yes, there's 2 9s and 2 7s. All right, 2 cells, 2 options. There is nothing we can do if we only look at this row. There is nothing we can do to finish this. Now, obviously, if we look at the big box, we can solve both of these. I'm not going to do that right this second because we're looking at rows. Just to get in the habit, first you do column. Well, you do whatever order you like, but I like to do columns, then rows, and then big boxes when I'm double checking things. So, nothing we can do for that row to help us. How about this row? 8, 7, 8, 1, 8, 7, 1. Okay, we've got 3 cells that are unsolved. Do we have 3 numbers in those 3 cells? 8, 7, 1. Yes, okay. Could this be 3 cells, 3 options? It could be. Do we have 2 of each number? We have 2 8s, 2 7s, and 2 1s. Yeah. We have 3 8s, actually, yeah. And it's okay to have 3 8s. That doesn't hurt it. This is 3 cells, 3 options. All right, let's drop down to this one. Looks like we have 2 cells that are unsolved. That's good. Do we only have 2 numbers? We have 9, 8, and 6. No, we have 3 numbers, so something is wrong. Aha! Look at that. We have a 6 solved, and yet we have a 6 written here. I've got to erase this. And of course, that instantly activates rule number 5. So, this is a 9, because it's the only thing it can be. Therefore, we get rid of this 9 and clean up, and hey, there's an 8 all by itself. All the numbers are done, so it must be an 8. Good, that took care of that row. So now let's talk about the bottom row. It looks like we have 2 cells that are unsolved. How many numbers do we have written down? We have 5 and 1. We have 2 numbers written down. That's good. Do we have 2 of each of those numbers? We have 2 5s and 2 1s. Yeah, that is 2 cells, 2 options. So we can't break that down any further within this row. All right, so now big boxes. We did columns and cleaned up. We did rows. Now we'll do big boxes. So this big box has 1 cell that is not solved, but there's 2 numbers in it. That doesn't work, right? You've got to have the same amount of cells as numbers that you can put in it. So this isn't right. Something's doubled up. It looks like it's the 7. So I'm going to get rid of the 7. That leaves just the 9. So because of rule number 5, this is 9. Oh, dang it. Did I write? No, I didn't. I used stickers. Okay. Ooh. All right, 9. Good. That takes care of that big box. How about this big box? So we have one cell, but it has 2 numbers in it. Doesn't make any sense. 9 is doubled up. Okay, I can get rid of the 9. That leaves just a 7. So because of rule number 5, we know that this is 7. You know what I realized? I should put this marker down. I don't think I'm using it at all. Good. Okay, so now this big box. Now, we've talked about this before. There's 3 cells, there's 3 numbers. We have at least 2 of each number. This is 3 cells, 3 options within this big box. There's nothing we can do within this big box to help us solve this. Let's talk about this big box. There's 2 cells, there's 2 numbers, 5, 1. We have at least 2 of each of them. Therefore, there's 2 cells, 2 options within this big box. Nothing we can do looking in that big box will help us. So we go back to the top again, back to columns, okay? Let's talk about this column. This column only has 1 cell that's unsolved. It should be 1 cell, 1 option, but it's not. It's got 2 numbers in it. Very strange. Something must be duplicated. Aha, look, that 8. That 8 can go. That leaves just the 7 by itself. And we know, because of rule number 5, after all the little numbers have been written in, if anything is alone, then that is the answer. So this is 7. Okay. How about this row? Or column, I mean. This column. So this column has 2 cells. Okay. Does it just have 2 numbers? We have 8, 5, and 1. So no, it has 3 numbers. Something is duplicated here. It looks like the 5 is the problem. 5 is solved, therefore we can erase this one. And now, of course, because of rule number 5, 1 is all by itself. Therefore, we can make that 1. Okay, so now when we look at this, of course, we could just do cleanup and erase the 1. But I do like to point out, look, this has 1 cell that's unsolved, but there's 2 numbers in it. Strange. What's doubled up? Obviously the 1. Okay, so rule number 5 says that 8 should be an 8. So it is an 8. Okay, now this column. We have 2 cells. Therefore, we should only have 2 numbers. How many numbers do we have? We have 8, 7, 5, 1. We have 4 numbers. This is a mess. Let's figure out what's duplicated. There's a 7, so let's get rid of the 7. So did that solve it? We still have 2 cells. 8, 5, 1. No, we still have 3 numbers. We got to get rid of something. This 8. Look at that. This 8 can be erased. All right, and that leaves 1 by itself. Therefore, we know that because of rule number 5, it is 1. And then in cleanup, we can erase this 1 down here because we already solved it up here. So that just leaves 5. Therefore, it is 5. Aha. Okay. I think that's right. You can double check it in the back of the book. I'm pretty sure it is. Let me know how far you got before you started watching the video. At what point did you start to have trouble? I'm going to try to do the ones that are easily solved in the beginning from now on. So we'll be like, how many 1s can we solve right off the bat? Because it makes the puzzle itself a little bit easier instead of writing in all of those numbers when there could have been some easy solves you could have grabbed. So just so you know, we're going to start doing that. And we got to add a rule. This is going to get very rare. Most of the puzzles in this book can be solved with this. So we will add new rules, but I also want to point out that practice is really important. It's super hard to see these things. So don't feel weird if you're like on puzzle 27 and you're like, we've done 27 of these together and I can't see 2 cells, 2 options. Don't let that bug you, okay? It will sink in. With practice and working together, it will sink in. All right, if the answer's wrong, let me know. And let me know how far you got. And you guys have a wonderful day. Thank you.